friend. So this is day 2 of our decluttering and people-pleasing challenge. And today we're going to talk about overwhelm and avoidance. We're going to talk about how your nervous system is not your enemy. So if you feel overwhelmed by clutter and find yourself avoiding decisions about what to do, about what to keep or what to let go, it's not because you are lazy or because you are failing. So I know when I deal with clutter, it's like I just get paralyzed and I don't know what to do. And it's very easy for me to feel like that's my fault. There's something wrong with me. But I'm here to tell you today that that's not the case. We're going to find out why. So overwhelm is a natural response from your nervous system when it senses threat. Now, whether that's an emotional threat, a mental threat, or a social threat. And for many of us women who have spent years people-pleasing, clutter can hold emotional weight. And that's what we talked about in day 1. So they can hold emotions, memories, things like guilt, things that we keep just in case. Do you have any of those things? I know I do. Or it might be things that are tied to people, keeping things out of guilt or obligation or because of other people's expectations. So when you're trying to declutter and please everyone at the same time, those are two very powerful things happening in your life at one time. You see this mess and you want to get rid of it, but also you're hearing all of these external voices. And what's missing is we're not hearing the internal voice. So our nervous system steps in. Because what's happening when we're overwhelmed with clutter and yet we're trying to meet other people's expectations, that can short circuit our nervous system and it can lead to freeze. Now, let me just go off track a little bit here. Maybe some of you know this, but when our body senses a threat, then our nervous system ramps up to help us prepare for that threat. And the way our nervous system ramps up is there's 4 ways that it does. So one is fight, one is flight, one is freeze, and one is fawn. Now you may have heard of this before. Maybe you haven't heard as much about the fawn response, but that's the people-pleasing response. And that's what we're talking about in this challenge. And so when our nervous system gets overwhelmed, it can short circuit, and that can lead us to the freeze response. And that's where we avoid, we shut down, we freeze. So in today's challenge, we want to gently shift from judgment to compassion. And instead of asking yourself, oh, why can't I get this stuff done? Why am I so lazy? You know, all that. We can ask ourselves, what is my nervous system telling me? How is my nervous system trying to protect me? Because all of these responses from our nervous system are there to protect us when we perceive a threat. Now, the clutter in our house isn't a physical threat like, somebody chasing us with a gun, but it's an emotional threat. It can feel like a social threat, and it certainly affects our mental health, so it can be a mental health threat too. So our body responds to that by freezing. And so when we understand that, we can deal with ourselves with compassion rather than shame and judgment. So let all of those items that you're trying to get rid of or you have and you don't know what to do with, all of that clutter, let that be a doorway to self-discovery, not to shame. You're not behind. You are protecting yourself the best way that you know how. And now, with the awareness of that, you can move one small step forward. And really, that's what this decluttering process is all about, is one small step at a time. So you can take one drawer, maybe just one box, or you could set your timer. I'm a big fan of this one, to set your timer for just 5 minutes and do some decluttering. That is not so overwhelming. That doesn't feel like such a threat to our nervous system when we take it in small, manageable steps and we're not overwhelmed, and then that leads to avoidance. Because all of this really is not about the stuff. It's about reclaiming your peace. And the reality is, you deserve that. Okay? Give yourself permission to deserve that. I am telling you, you deserve to have that peace in your life. Okay, so now I want to share with you an insight, an affirmation, a journal prompt, and an action step that you can use for day 2 of this challenge. So the insight is, feeling overwhelmed is not about failure. It's your nervous system's response. So that's what we've been talking about today. The affirmation is, I can take small, kind steps towards clarity and peace. Okay, and so maybe a journal prompt to help you with that could be, what stops me from starting? What am I afraid of? So think about that. What's really going on within me? Not all those voices from the outside, but within me, what's going on? What is stopping me from getting rid of these things that I want to get rid of? Okay, and then the action step, again, like we've talked about before, you can set a timer, maybe for 5, maybe for 10 minutes, and then begin. And then stop when the timer goes off. And then celebrate. And that's important, to celebrate, because you did this. And 10 minutes is 10 minutes. Don't say, oh, it's just 10 minutes, because 10 minutes is 10 minutes. All right. I hope this is helpful for you today on your decluttering and your healing journey. If you like this video, please give it a like. Also, if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else that is dealing with clutter in their life, please share this with them. We could also set up a time to visit. I'll leave the link below in on my website to that. And I'll just leave the link to my website so you can get to know more of the things that I do. And if I haven't said it before, I'm Kathy Weens. I'm a trauma recovery and women's empowerment coach, and I am here to empower you to live your best life. All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.